Welcome back. I'm Linda Fontaine, and you're watching A Closer Look. Today I have with me Stacy Seaton with Traces and Values, parent trainer for foster care.
Yes.
And we've been learning all about how this program works and more about foster care, things we don't really hear a whole lot. Like you said, you're a nonprofit, you guys don't do a lot of fundraisers, so you're not out in the community trying to get people to come in so much, so we don't hear a lot about it from that standpoint. So this has been really good to learn. Now tell me, do you guys take volunteers?
We don't really have volunteers, but we do have an intern once a semester with us,
Okay.
typically.
All right. And how can people learn about this? Do you have open houses and things like that?
We are actually hosting an open house. It's on May 17th at 6 p.m. at the Johnson City Library. And so I'm really excited to be there because they do have a lot of different resources at the library where families can look into foster care, and especially if you've got kids, they have a lot of children's books that I actually brought a few with me that you could read with your child for foster care month. And even if
Okay.
you're not interested in becoming a foster family, it's still good for kids to know what is a foster child and
What
does
books
that look
are
like.
these that you have with you?
Okay, so the first one I brought is called Stories from Adoptive Parents, and this one is more for adults, but it kind of walks you through just insight from different adoptive parents. And I really like this one because it's for, a lot of times everything's so children-based that it, adults don't have the opportunity to look into what have other adults done. So this is a really cool book.
Okay, very good.
The next one I brought is Foster Families, and this one is obviously geared towards children. And I think this one would be a great book to read with your kids, just to discuss, what are different things that that the foster care entails. Is foster care in the law, different types of things, residential homes. So you could read this with kids of all ages, really.
And this one, Little Cub.
Little Cub, yes.
like that one.
This one's so cute. Of course, it's geared towards a younger kid, but it's about a little cub who was orphaned. So
Oh,
it's a good book.
Adorable.
Yes.
Oh, that is good resources to know about.
Yeah, and they actually have, dozens of books on adoption and foster care as well. And so, I'm really excited to partner with the Johnson City Library and do our open house there, because if people are interested or it's strike a chord in them to be a little bit more curious, they can just walk right out into the library, get your library card and rent a book.
Okay, now when is that open house again?
It's on May 17th at 6 o'clock.
Okay, 6 o'clock, and it is at the Johnson City Library.
Yes.
And for details, people can call 423-224-1043.
Yes.
And May is National Foster Care Month.
It is, yeah.
So that is perfect timing.
It
and
is.
that's probably been planned that way for a reason.
Just a little bit, yeah.
And so, how much training does somebody have to go through to become a foster parent?
So we do about 60 hours plus of training, and I don't want that number to scare people away. I try to make it really fun, and we go along with their schedule. So most of our parents work outside the home, and so I'll do night classes for our parents that do work outside the home to accommodate their schedules. But with that training, you're getting the state mandated training, which I love. I think it's a really good training. And then we do the therapeutic training for our parents so that they're understanding trauma and how it affects the brain and behavior in children. And so it walks you through, traumatic experiences and what kind of effects will that have on a child. And then how do we treat that? How do we work with that inside of the home environment? We also do CPR and first aid with the parents so that, if there's ever an emergency, kind of how to handle that, medication training. So we try to cover all of it during that. And then we do ongoing training throughout the year with our parents. And I love this because our parents get to gather together under one roof, eat a meal, and learn some new things, but also parents can talk with each other. We do support groups for our parents too, and so that's a time that's just kind of no agenda. You just get to come and support each other And
That's great. So
yeah.
they have time to say things that have worked for them, frustrations they may have, and just have somebody who can relate to them.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to be a foster parent, what would I have to do, or what would you do to make sure that I was a safe foster parent?
Right. So the first thing is the application. So our parents just fill out an application and send it back to me, and I obviously look through that. I have you in for several interviews. We do individual interviews with each parent and then together. And we do background checks. So all of our parents have to pass some background checks. And, we really look into, do you have trauma? And what have you experienced? What kind of kids, and a lot of us have trauma. A lot of us have been through a lot. So it doesn't mean that you can't be a foster parent. We just kind of look at, what kids would fit well, and what kids are you comfortable parenting and not comfortable parenting, maybe based on your history or experiences, or some people just aren't comfortable with different types of behaviors, and that is okay.
Yes. Is there anything right off the bat that is they can't be a foster parent?
Right. So obviously, if they've had some kind of abuse to a child, sexual abuse to a child, that is obviously we cannot accept that person as a parent, or any type of abuse towards an adult that typically disqualifies people.
What if they had a history of drug abuse?
Well, we do the drug offender registry, and so we look at that, and that typically will disqualify people if there's been an extensive history. That's there's certain time frames that we look at and different things that we investigate with it, but we really make a lot of efforts to make sure our families are safe on the background check-in, but then also emotionally. We want to make sure that they are able to give that therapeutic treatment to the kid inside of their home.
So would you interview people that I work with and friends and family members and things like that?
So we gather references, and then we speak with the references to kind of gather more information about the family, and not only does that help kind of vet out people who may not be a good fit, but it also helps us determine what kind of services or support might this family need as well. Because a lot of times people might say, oh, well, they both work, so they might need daycare, or, they might need help with this or that. So,
Is somebody that needs foster care, has siblings, do you always keep them together, or is that sometimes impossible? Or what if there's a family of 4 or 5 kids?
Right. So that has become more common. That's funny that you mentioned that. I've seen a lot of referrals on kids that are family members that are, 4, 5, 6 kids. The state and we make all efforts to keep those families together. Those kids are bonded, and a lot of times while they're in foster care, that's all they have. And so we always keep those kids together, and make a lot of effort to continue to build that relationship.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. How often do you have to go in and say this isn't a good fit? You see it on TV a lot that there's a lot of conflict, when they're showing foster situations, what have you. But is it often that, because it sounds like these families that you train go through a lot of training, and I didn't realize they went through so much. That's what you don't normally learn or see. Is it very often that you have to take them apart, like a foster child out of a certain family and put in another family for some reason, or is that rare?
Not a ton. With any situation, there's a lot of factors in there, but that's not a very common thing. We really work hard to be communicative with our parents so that we know what's going on before situations get to that point. So we're working from the beginning to put in support systems, to give them a lot of support inside the home or outside the home, to try and prevent a lot of that. Because, if you've got a kid if you think about it, you're adjusting just as much as the kid is. And so
that's true.
We need to, give it some time to kind of work itself. You're just adjusting to a new environment. Even though it's yours, it's still new because there's a new person in there.
Right.
Or people.
Good point.
So we really want to work with our families and make sure that our kids have that stability. It is so vital that when a kid's placed in foster care, that foster family sticks with them until they go back home or they're adopted or whatever their permanency might be, because that kid is going to learn to trust again. That kid's going to learn that someone feels like they're worthwhile, and that, you know, the love isn't conditional that was given to them. But sometimes, unfortunately, it just doesn't work. And that's okay, and we work really hard to find another family that will fit really well for that child.
That sounds good. So you have around 25 right now that are in the Traces and Values system.
Yes.
That are working to get back into their homes, if possible. If not, they're open for more foster care or adoption.
Right.
Okay. Again, let's talk about this open house real quick. And what can people learn at the open house?
So at the open house, we're going to have myself, my supervisors, a case manager, and then our therapist. And so there's a lot of different people that do a lot of different things with our program, where you can come and talk about, you know, what does your program look like? What will my day look like if I take a foster kid in? And the training more in depth, or literally any question.
Just to educate about the whole program.
Yep.
And you said it's from 6 to 7?
6 to 7:30.
Okay, we have on here 6:30 to 7, so just to let people know, it's 6 to 7:30.
Yes.
May 17th, at the Johnson City Library, 224-1043, area code 423 for more information. Okay.
Yes.
So that sounds like it'd be a very worthwhile
Yeah, I'm excited.
event to go to.
Yes.
If you have any idea of, or any inkling to do foster care, this would be a great opportunity to learn that.
It would be,
Okay,
yeah.
that's super. You know, Stacey, I really appreciate this time flew by, because this is something I really didn't know anything about. So I really appreciate that you educated me, taught me about foster care, and taught all of us about foster care. It sounds like you're doing a worthwhile thing for our community, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you come on again sometime.
Oh, I will.
When you have
Thank
more
you.
events, please come and let us know about it, because anything we can do to help the children in our area, I'm all for.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
And that wraps up another edition of A Closer Look. I hope to see you back here next week. Have a fantastic day.